Welcome back, folks, to Occultists Anonymous, sponsored by Roll20, the Onyx Path, and viewers like you. Thank you very much to our supporters who support us monetarily and who subscribe, and all you folks who are here on a Friday night and hanging out with us, which is really cool. Hope you've had
spending Valentine's Day with us.
Valentine's Day with us, and hopefully, if you're hanging out, well, never mind, I'm not going to go
with
there,
your one true love, Hubris.
And Mage. And hopefully you do something interesting for Valentine's, even if it's just you hanging out and loving yourself. Never mind. Moving right along.
In any sense of that phrase.
Yikes. Special support to our patrons who support us monetarily. Thomas, Senna, Sebastian, Schmitty, Ryan, Royvisgrad, Puppeteer, Perry, Other Michael, Nova, Moku, Michael, Melissa, Catfeathers, Josh, John, James, Giovanni, Emil, Doc, Brandon, Bernie, Badur, Alexander, Alan, Michael, and Adam. Thank you guys for your support. Trying to jump in because we're going to make this one longer than the first one and cover more stuff. We'll see. When we last left the Cabal, Weird had made a discovery about the Tear and the other realm and astral realms, and
it ticked off a big life goal for her awakened. From her awakened life. Yeah, that's good.
Atreides back at the Puck building has a big stone tablet, and that she's probably started to transcribe some stuff on. And Songbird got to flex them imbuement muscles and imbued a cane and a gun. He's very sad about the gun. No. Which, by the way...
You don't get the little fiddly parts.
too many mechanisms. Where the punch? Which actually...
Clumsy and random.
Yeah, it's an inelegant weapon. Telekinetic strike does exactly what for Titus? Because you and I had talked about it, but we hadn't actually.
It is so it'll enhance the gun firing. Like firing is the mechanism to trigger the spell, and also is like the gun is how you aim the spell because it's not a sensory range spell.
Okay.
So like you have to hit them with the gun, and then the bullet will do more damage. It was I think potency
knockdown, I think
7, and inflicted the stunned tilt.
Help him get away.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And it packs a wallop. That's a one shot, if I remember correctly. Because it's only got enough mana to fire it.
It has 5 capacity.
Okay, cool.
It costs 1 mana to click.
So
does it come full, or does he have to
I believe it comes. I think when he makes it, he can decide to put the mana in, or if it's just, it's got the 1 and he's got to fill it up later. But considering he's a sleepwalker.
They don't have their own mana pool, right?
Nope.
How does it get replenished?
Songbird
help him.
Yeah, Songbird can help him. Or...
with a thought.
And Songbird, it's also one of those things that, in my head, you leave it in a hallow, and,
It'll charge.
Mm-hmm.
Has a USB cord plugged into a gun.
Just like we've got our bananas, or as somebody mentioned, manangos, and then the gun, just recharge it. And then they were summoned. Well, not summoned. They had an appointment at a church cathedral, and so we pick up with the entire Rookery Cabal, who I kind of imagine in a flying V kind of formation, everybody behind Songbird, and including Titus.
Shield that guards the realms of the Rookery.
Yeah. Titus and Network, the once formerly, still is kind of Jimmy Smalls Patinko, as the Hierarch, flanked by his counselors, everybody sitting at the table. So the 6 of them to the 5 of them, and then so it's an even match, sort of. The Hierarch kind of leans forward and says, "So what is this about? You have found El Dorado." Okay, because leans over and kind of looks over at Giza and says, there's things that I've heard already, but from your own mouths. And the Hadramiel kind of casts. That does cast Pierce Deception, and kind of looks
radical.
Exactly that. We found El Dorado.
an ancient enclave of mages that sought to create a successor to Atlantis. Became a failed colony, and there is a single remnant of one of their mages there to guard.
I don't think it's a remnant of a mage. I think it was their attempt at creating a sentient being. Its soul wasn't a normal soul. It was like made. Like, I know we can't make souls, but I think they did.
They made something akin to
Yeah,
a soul. It's like a prototype
because they were
thing.
soulless, right? Yeah.
Well, the
no,
constructs
the
tribe,
elves were
yeah.
soulless.
Mhm.
but
The keeper had something like a soul.
it was definitely not an actual human soul. I would imagine that, especially because she has it as a legacy attainment, doing the soul marks, you're like, this is gross. This is not a human soul.
Not right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is doing the job of a soul.
Yep.
It's
There's some-
Anyways,
some
all of this is
Providing
hidden.
animus for the body, right? Basically.
All of this is hidden behind trials, dangers, and the entrance itself is veiled by spells stemming from an archmage.
Yeah, and all 6 of them kind of have a lean back, and this is an archmage for sure.
It was the same
We
mark
investigated.
as on our grimoires, yeah?
Yeah.
No, not everyone knows about our grimoires.
Do they know? Okay.
It's not in public. We were coached to not make it public.
Okay. I thought the
I
council in
can.
general knew about that.
And also about the trials, they're constructed in such a way that even a group going through must face them individually.
I could recreate this archmage's nimbus, but just my sheer ability to actually tell you that it is this inside this space, you can tell I'm not lying.
Right. Hadramiel is nodding because he's the one with the pierce deception. And so did we have interactions with the Archmage? Were they
By
acting-
proxy only.
Okay.
They were
And
There were no mages there.
and had been a long time since one had been there.
okay. And besides the historical, the Hierarch kind of rolls his eyes at it. Besides the historical significance of finding El Dorado, he's made mention of a vast armory, depository,
Treasury?
Treasury, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
almost want to
There were
call it.
I
things
wouldn't
in there
know.
that
I didn't get to go in.
there were things in there that were weapons and armor, but a lot of things that weren't.
yeah, there was quite a significant collection of like grimoires and other kind of useful items. And so
Treasure vault, essentially.
Hierarch says, to be blunt, I understand that you don't want the Consilium to have access to this treasure vault.
We don't want the Consilium to have unrestricted access to the treasure vault.
Because it is dangerous to get there. We also don't know what's in it.
And
it's-
whoever, if you pass the trials, you may remove one item and
One
item
thing.
only.
So it's difficult and dangerous to get to. You can very easily get eaten by all sorts of horrible beasts in the jungle. And again, we don't know what's in there. Just giving free access to what could be incredibly powerful and dangerous things is not smart.
Okay. So we send only skill. And the Hierarch kind of like interrupts himself and says, okay, there's a treasure vault. you were saying that only one item can be taken each. So you have no interest in, holding this unless, and kind of looks over to Network and says, unless you are trying to, strengthen it with, for your own cabal, is there a reason you are against sharing this with a Consilium?
I just don't want people flooding it, putting themselves in danger, and taking out no one knows what.
It is a limited resource that should be managed.
Okay. So
the Keeper did caution us against just letting everyone come in willy-nilly, because again, we don't know.
Pip kind of leans forward and says, no, we understand the idea of dangerous weapons being held. Moonkeeper is nodding alongside and says, it should be restricted, but, there's no reason not to send, worthy and, knowledgeable mages in to collect things if you all pass the trials. Not to say that they would be simple, but, we would not send somebody like, I think she calls him James. And never mind.
It's Network. But
Oh, Network. I don't suggest we send folks like Network in, but, the counselors, the hierarch, do you have problems sharing that information with us? And the hierarch kind of like, there will not be it's not a matter of sharing. This is something that the Consilium, and therefore this council, should manage.
Okay, I mean, we aren't like
And the
the owners
silence
of it.
stretches uncomfortably.
Okay. Because
I mean, is where it is, we can't. Are we gonna stop you? Like,
no, but I would prefer that this be a amicable and, courteous exchange of information. Because while we know it is in the Yucatan, he's a nod, its exact location and access to it, and he's a mentions we've been looking in at it, scrying on watching it. No other people have entered, but currently it is your discovery. It is your information, and while we could take it and utilize it and potentially even open a portal to it now, it is yours. So if you are willing to cede control over it, then we will begin the process of sending those worthy into it.
what defines worthy?
And the hierarch kind of, I think that will be for, myself and the counselors to determine. But, those who have contributed to the Consilium, those who have proven their knowledge and capability, their archaeological maturity.
Their allegiance?
To the Consilium, of course.
Well, seeing as two of the council is also part of my order, they'll also probably already know this, but I have, outside of mage politics, I do not think it is right for us to pillage this place on a basis of a long-standing history of colonial extortion of the area.
The hierarch very obviously rolls his eyes. It is a mage thing. It belongs to mages. An
Then
idea
it belongs also
there are mages there.
to the mages of the area.
So you would prefer to leave this to what? The local Mysterium caucus, the sensorium that's there? They have no interest in it. Nobody else is using
Sensorium
it.
doesn't care about this. Yeah.
Who would you rather cede control to then? That is my point. Like, nobody else is using it. Nobody even apparently knows that it is there.
I think the point Songbird is trying to raise is that that's a worthy conversation to have, rather than just deciding it for ourselves, for yourselves. They haven't shown any interest in it because they don't know what's beyond that wall.
No one really knows there's a portal, do they?
Well, there was an iris that got us through there, right?
Right, but that's
It was hidden.
covered up and hidden, so like you would have to go looking for it.
Yeah, we only found it because we were looking for it. We knew it was there.
So the hierarch kind of leans back and says, and kind of looks pointedly kind of at like Atratus and says, so we reach out to the local Mysterium there, let them know what they're sitting on, and then bargain with them. And kind of looks over to Songbird.
Does that seem fair to you? Red Songbird?
You use the word seed control, and that is not my goal.
So what is your goal?
The goal is to, seeing as we, the Rookery, are part of a Mysterium Cabal, and look like pointedly at Hiza.
Mm-hmm.
We should be seeking to reduce Pancryptia, should we not?
Correct. But if no sleepers are involved...
Sure. But that is not the only way that magic hides itself away.
Out of character. where are you going with that?
It should be a joint. In Songbird's eyes, it should be a joint venture.
Mm-hmm.
It should not
the,
be
like Mexican local.
Yeah.
Okay.
That the Consilium should be making efforts to share it with mages that are of descent.
Right.
Of Mayan descent.
Because to get in, you have to be Mayan.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly for them.
Right.
Just because we can do some magic and change our physiology.
There is zero difference in Songbird's mind between all of the stolen artifacts in the British Museum and what the Consilium would be doing with all of these relics and stuff.
The fact that you hadn't brought up the Mayan entrance thing was, I was like, are we going to get there? Okay. But yeah,
it was made for them.
Gotcha. Yeah, so to kind of put words in your mouth, the idea is like the entrance is guarded and locked behind something that keeps it hidden. Well, besides it being hidden, it's only accessible by those who are of Mayan descent. And because of that, bypassing that lock kind of is a big middle finger to those who built El Dorado. Yeah. Does that sound about right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It felt wrong even when I did it. So
right.
Honestly, my biggest concern is still keep it safe.
Right.
Like.
I don't care who ends up taking the lead on the roll, but go ahead and if anybody wants to assist, go ahead and call it out now. But
I'll take the lead.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
persuasion 3.
Yeah, presence plus persuasion. You guys aren't trying to be sneaky about anything, and so and multiple people can assist because Weird has been quiet. I know Weird has strong feelings about
Just jumped in and added a few pointed things.
Yeah.
And I've got something to add once we sort this particular question out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, presence plus persuasion. Weird has got 6 dice. It adds 4 successes.
I had 1.
Ash rolls 6 and gets 1. So
I'm rolling 13 dice.
Minus 5.
How?
Minus because I have 8 base.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I have persuasion 5.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So minus 5.
Yes, because effectively you're because all of the counselors are basically on, well, minus Hadramiel. Well, Hadramiel probably even still wants it, but yeah, you're convincing them as a group.
I'm gonna use a willpower.
Okay. But you still have that spell running, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
Sure.
Wait, hang on. How do we... 11?
Oh, well, never mind. Fucking modifiers.
Actually, it's going to be your... It'll be just +3, because you're adding willpower. And
every time I roll an actual stat, I enter the spell pool.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, 2 successes. So yeah, with your...
That's fucking horseshit.
Yeah. Weird rolls 6 dice, gets 4 successes. Songbird rolls 11, gets 2.
11.
But so they kind of nod and begrudgingly admit that the least we can do is, yes, especially bypassing the, kind of key of, being of Mayan descent. The least we can do is at least reach out to them, let it be known, and because it opens for someone of Mayan descent. You guys didn't experiment with it too much, but you just needed one person there for it to open.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
But I don't know that. Therefore, I can't lie about it.
Right. And that's fine. I'm just, giving you guys a little bit of knowledge. Pip suggests that, okay, we will reach out to the local Mysterium. We'll let them know what they're sitting on. I know the Sensorium is close, but they may have others who want to set up shop around it, guard it, and document everything that comes out. That will add to the global knowledge. And then if something comes out that is dangerous, we can, they can take it from them if necessary. And if it's really bad, we will give it to the Guardians.
Regarding that, we
yes.
do have no idea what's inside that hoard.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest that anything that comes out of there be examined thoroughly by the Mysterium or the Guardians to determine if it poses a danger.
Out of character, that's what
That's what she was.
Yeah,
that's what she was suggesting. But actually, especially since you've restated, and I'm hearing the thing back, she actually says that may be a reason to get the Sensorium involved. Because if they're there locally, they can at least have a representative studying it, and the rest of the council kind of nod and go, okay, very well. At least at this time, it's only us who know about it. So even if the local Mysterium opens it up to their entire caucus, and the local area will at least be involved in sharing in the discussion.
There's another matter as well. If we're going to start sending a parade of people through this thing, it's going to get noticed. So we should probably prepare to defend it as well.
Yeah. And Moonkeeper and Pip are like, we got that part covered. We're prepared for that. And Red Dread has already thought of some various things that we can do to protect the place, guard it. You said the interior is safe and hospitable for those who are not journeying forward. So we may have a long-term deployment kind of situation within, and see if we can integrate Arrow agents inside that world, at least for short-term deployments, because I imagine that it will be a rough place to stay for an extended period of time.
Yeah, they were very nice, but almost like automatons. Like, they have a set society and a way things work. And I feel like moving someone in there who isn't part of that society long-term might be throwing a wrench in the cogs.
Right. So if nothing else, we may have, send folks in with supplies, let them stay for a while, and do rotations or something like that. But we will, well, I guess, reach out to maybe the local adamantine arrow. And the hierarch kind of looks probably very pointedly at Songbird and says, this is a weaker position than I would prefer us to be in, but if this
stronger
is
moral position.
Which morals.
Well, it hits a silver because silver ladder is all about like at least on the surface.
I know exactly what I'm saying.
Literally rubbing his nose in it.
Yeah, and like the look, and like you can see Hadramiel because everybody's looking at Hadramiel's got this half a little grin of ooh, and like a little nod, and the hierarch says, "That's true. We should be setting a good example for our brethren, and the whole, mage society as a whole should be one united front." Yeah. Very well.
Good. Now that I've got us in a stronger defensive position around this magical treasury and a higher moral ground single-handedly, when's all this vampire shit going down?
Like,
hang on. There's a couple more
I know.
things to look at first. If that's right.
Well, and because more dramatically, because Songbird is trying to go for the like quick sun pivot. What is Weird or Craig wanting to bring up?
That this is a Rookery discovery.
Mm-hmm.
That the Rookery should be able to draw on this resource.
That might be, for the dramatic sense, that might be one of the things that as you guys start
as it
working,
develops, yeah,
right,
yeah,
but yeah. They know, like, especially considering how adamant you guys are, like they know they're not going to be
we're not just like washing our hands of this. Yeah,
you're not going to be able but yeah, all six counselors kind of recoil when you bring up the vampires, and
Songbird, when are we getting into the vampires?
Titus and Network don't know about the vampires, if I remember correctly.
They do now.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I definitely would have talked to him about it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's true, because if nothing else, you were gone for
briefing
a night.
them on threats and stuff. Yeah.
And so all six of them kind of recoil back a little bit, make some faces, because no, that's true. They do, because you all were told about the attempt on the Vampire Prince. And so the six of them, kind of look at Titus and Jimmy, Network, who are, kind of like,
they're cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
You decided to put the Rookery on the front line of this. They are members of the Rookery.
Very well. Yeah, the floor is yours, Songbird. What about the vampire scenario?
Just looking for what your timeline is of when we may be repercussed.
We have, well, and I think Moonkeeper is the one who kind of pipes up and says, our divinations suggest that there may be a time soon that will have the biggest effect and the most destabilizing effect on the Prince's Hold, or rather not the Prince's Hold, but the hierarchy of vampires. And I have yet to exactly nail that down, because casting a divination that says, how's March 31st isn't exactly the best. Well, actually, hang on, April 30th.
We're in April now, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we are working on that. We will let you know when we plan to strike.
Can I ask a question just to inform my context for all of this?
Go ahead.
Is there some reason why we're seeking to disrupt the relative balance?
Because, actually,
because it's a.
I think it was that they weren't falling in line.
We know because it's a pain in the ass Cold War going on right now.
Sure, I understand that.
This prince has an attitude.
This is very likely to escalate into a hot war. That's why Weird's asking for the context.
Because you guys have been told that, actually, you all have not been told officially, because Hadramiel mentioned to Songbird while they were discussing supernal beings that, yeah, there's an untenable Cold War that is not getting better. And basically the vampires aren't bending the knee.
I mean, we can figure that out just based off the silver laws and stuff.
No, I understand all that, but I mean, I'm an accountant.
It's not revealing
Words
that
are
we have
important,
inside
right?
information by asking this question.
Right. But yeah, the hierarch, actually, yeah, roll present,
Manipulation.
Manipulation.
manipulation plus persuasion.
Monagos is my favorite path in Mage.
3 successes. I threw willpower at it.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, 9 dice, 3 successes. Weird is just
I
ridiculous.
mean, that's about statistical.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
right.
1/3. Yeah.
Two, 2 on 11 is not.
Yeah. But the hierarch kind of, okay, well, since you are the ones likely to be on the front line, the prince is averse to negotiations and discussion on where they feed, what influence they have over sleeper society, and basically has a death grip on the upper class of New York.
Which is a problem for you.
So yeah. And in my head, I'm thinking, which the Silver Ladder would not like. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Which the hierarch basically, states as it is a problem for the Consilia's, growth and stability within New York.
Can I just get a read on the faces of the other counselors as he says all that?
Yeah, you can roll wits plus empathy. Wits.
Three successes.
With more willpower.
Yep.
And so, for the most part, let's see here.
Like I'm looking for. I'm figuring anybody on the arrows is just looking for a fight.
Not necessarily.
Right,
because-
but looking to test themselves against an enemy. They don't like Cold Wars. They'd much rather have an open fight than sneaking around. That's what
because
that's
What
what
a
I'm
stereotype,
expecting.
weird.
Well,
Yeah, I was
sure,
gonna
and you don't do the same thing to the Guardians.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm looking
but
for
no,
deviations from expectations.
Right. No, the Adamantine Arrow members, Pip and Moonkeeper, definitely look like they're agreeing with the hierarch that this is a problem. Hadramiel doesn't seem to agree. He seems kind of neutral on the matter, and I'm missing somebody.
Shoulda.
And Shoda
No,
say
he's a herald.
Sentinel.
He's not a counselor.
Do you only have 5 on the console?
Where's the kid?
No, Moonkeeper
That's
and
Moonkeeper.
Oh, okay.
Moonkeeper and Pip, because we have. Hang on, we're missing Path.
You see the hierarch and then 5 counselors.
Right, and there's who's the Moros counselor?
Factory.
Factory.
Yes, thank you. Who is also
Whoops.
the Free Council. Oh my gosh,
Whoops.
yeah,
Okay.
Free Council.
Forgot about them the whole time. Whoops.
Factory has been sitting there.
Definitely forgot about her.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad.
To be fair, I've never spoken to her, so.
Yeah.
What
Hispanic.
path is Sun in Winter again?
The Hierophant?
What path is Sun in
Hierarch?
Winter again?
Oh, he's in Obrimos.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. For those who have forgotten, Factory, 43-year-old Hispanic woman who, Free Council is very done up in blacks and golds in a very
Too
high
bad we
fashion.
forgot about her for the last discussion, huh?
Whoops. Yep. Sorry, guys. That said, I mean, she's actually probably more on your guys' side, and probably, give it back to the Mayans. I knew that I was missing somebody. I was like, there's 6 people here. Why do I keep doing only 5 voices? But rolling back, Oh,
there's
yeah.
So there's a 3-2 split with one neutral.
Yeah, because the free... actually, no, the Free Council Factory is in on this with...
Okay.
because anybody messing with sleepers and humanity, Free Council isn't into it. So, yeah, basically, Hadramiel is against it. He's just kind of neutral, and the rest are on board to support the Hierarch. And depose the prince. But
See,
yeah.
my concern is that you're like kind of painting a target on us, right? Like they can just show up and kill us while we're sleeping.
Potentially. But
I mean,
and if
it's literally my job to make sure that doesn't happen.
right, there are wards and spells that you can cast over yourselves. Notably, because he's a chimes in. Again, he's kind of neutral about the affair, but he's like, space magic is one of the things that vampires have a hard time dealing with. So, a
Not to
ban
mention,
or
you can just death veil us and
there are a number of things that you can do to keep your territory safe, even if it means a siege situation. The rest of the Consilium is here to support and protect you. We're not going to leave you to be surrounded. Also, I don't think and it is our intent that when this goes off, that it will cause the maximum amount of infighting.
Hadramiel's got words of truth up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or not was it Hadramiel or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guessed it.
Okay.
he's got pierce deception.
Pierce deception.
Yeah,
right.
versus yeah, okay.
Words of truth would be a little more showy.
Yeah.
So the hierarch is speaking truth right now. Then we can assume.
Or
Hierarch hasn't said anything, but
Okay.
he's
Who is? Okay,
he's
he's
the
a
same.
Hadramiel
Okay.
will know if they're lying.
correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely says that space magic can protect you. Death veiling, and the rest of the Consilium is not about to leave you abandoned in Lower Manhattan, surrounded by vampires. And like I said, and Moonkeeper chimes in. It's like we are planning to strike to cause the most amount of infighting and struggle for control. Potentially having a bunch of these leeches kill themselves, and then we renegotiate with whatever monster ends up on top of the pile.
I mean, also personally, I feel like we're on decent terms with our local vampires.
And if they are smart, they will keep their heads down and let everything come out in the wash. If the only people who are probably going to be killing each other are going to be the vampires,
The upper echelons.
and those with political,
Aspirations.
gain in mind, aspirations. Yes. If you have, local, I think, Moonkeeper, can do. If you have local leeches that you like, then when everything goes loud, you tell them that they should keep their heads down and keep quiet. And if you want to help make them safe, you're welcome to. The ones that we want killing themselves are all the ones who are at the top of the pile, and I'm sure there's going to be some pawns and minions that are lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And
As far
people
as I know,
likely
we've got
caught in the
Nosferatu.
crossfire.
So,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You're trying to
as far as I know, we've got Nosferatu. So I don't think they're.
There are definitely... Songbird could tell you, but I don't know if he will bring it up. But there are definitely Nosferatu in the upper echelons.
Okay, so it's not a vegan of like bloodlines where
No,
the Nosferatu are the bottom dwellers who don't really get involved in all that nonsense.
No, it more in Requiem, Vampire Requiem, Chronicles of Darkness. It's more about what covenant you join. So there are some who just aren't politically motivated. The Order of Dracul, absolutely not politically motivated. They want to go do their pseudoscience, mad scientist crap. The Circle of the Coven, Circle of the Crone are also a little less politically motivated, but if they have a chance, they will totally seize it. The big two are the Invictus and the Carthians, and sometimes the Lancea et sanctum. But that stuff Atreides doesn't necessarily know. But yeah,
I don't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, we want the top dogs in the vampire hierarchy to pile over each other, fight for dominance, and then, after a bunch of them have been, left out in the sun, then we are in a better position to lay hold. And the hope is that whatever we do to remove the prince will be showy, flashy, and intimidating enough that they will remember it. And when we come to call to negotiate, they are more humble. And this coming from a 15-year-old looking kid.
It's weird. Do you want to make your point about people getting caught?
In the crossfire. That when these leaders and their soldiers work to take each other out, it's very likely sleepers will be caught in the crossfire.
Sleepers may, but even nasty, bloody vampire wars, it's very rare that the sleeper population are involved unless they're tied in as ghouls and they're already drinking vampire blood.
Yeah, they don't generally like to let people know they exist.
Yeah, there is a whole masquerade. But the ordinary innocent sleepers may get caught up in some.
Hey guys. Hi.
Were you able to hear us?
I totally lost everything.
Oh, well. Okay.
Back now.
The innocent people are probably not going to... They may notice some turmoil. The news may cover gang wars and some corporate takeovers and maybe the loss of this local celebrity or that. And it will be a tumultuous time in New York, but for the average sleeper, they're just going to enjoy reading the tabloids.
All right.
Any other concerns about removing this prince?
Nope. Happy to be informed.
Just looking for context, so thank you.
I imagine the one side of the table, right? Are all like, okay, you're digging into stuff that, is above your head. Hadramiel keeping a stone face, and he's just kind of confused.
I'm just concerned about angry vampires coming for us.
Absolutely.
But if y'all think this will remain, their power struggle will be the bigger draw.
That is the concern. That is the plan. Because we have our own mages, we have our own sleepwalkers, and cults of influence that we want to keep maintained. Because of course, the Silver Ladder has several large major Cryptopolis. Thank you. With no Silver Ladder in the Cabal, I feel so left out talking about my Cryptopolis. More meta out of character stuff. Is there anything else that you guys are wanting to discuss?
Not publicly.
Right. The hierarch, who has probably gotten a little miffed at you guys, showing up, delivering this thing, putting your foot down about El Dorado, and then also prodding the council about their actions, says, unless there's anything else, you are all dismissed.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.
Very well. And literally, as you guys are walking, Songbird, you get a text from Hadramiel that says, "How's that research go?" So you guys make your way out from the church, and I guess head back down to Lower Manhattan. Any discussion on the way or anything like that? Since you're not taking an Uber because those are expensive.
Oh, did you look at how much they cost?
No, but Chris had mentioned it. It's like, yeah, you just take an Uber and
it's like $50
or like $100 for some of the places that you guys have gone. Which I mean, he's made of money. He's got resources 3.
Sure. It's a principle of a thing. I'm still a man of the people.
Sure. But yeah, is there any
As I sit atop my ivory tower of 4,700 square feet.
Right. Actually, that is a true point. Do you guys head back to the Rookery, back to the Puck building?
I'm texting Hadramiel back to let me know when we can talk.
Okay.
I think I say, let me know when the hornets have all gone back in their nest and we can talk.
Okay. Yeah, his response is probably, we can talk tonight. And then also said, in text, how much does your cabal know?
Yeah, I want to know what you found out.
I'm not entirely happy with the hierarch's attitude.
Nah, he's kind of a dick, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, everyone in chat. Drew made an NPC that's a dick.
He has been a dick this entire time. You guys just haven't
We
realized
just haven't met
it.
him.
Yeah. So more out of character. Are we going to shift this into Songbird is going to let in the rest of the cabal know what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Or
do
did
that.
you want to clear it with Hadramiel first?
I mean,
regardless of what Songbird, what Songbird wants to do, I'm trying to figure out. So I think you guys make your way probably back to the Rookery, back to the workshop, and a little while later, as you guys are, kind of, in my head, I imagine you guys are starting to do like regular dinners together, because if nothing else, Titus is pushing for it because Titus, as you guys discover, likes to cook.
That's right.
Yep. And
I just want to turn to Songbird and be like, so we need to know what you know.
Yeah.
Which, as Titus is working here and he legitimately has a kiss the cook apron, Hadramiel raps on the door and kind of lets himself in and kind of looks and says, okay, so was not I thought you guys were just going to come talk to Dorado, but apparently you're going to stir up all sorts of trouble. Tratus network.
Well, we're the ones getting thrown in the front lines.
Yeah.
We're just looking after.
No, I agree. And kind
of, basically, if he's already going to be pissed off at us for putting our foot down about El Dorado, I'll give him something to actually be pissed off about.
Okay. And kind of looks from Songbird to the Cabal, and you let them know everything, or?
We're going to all talk right now.
Okay. And looks over at Titus, who's cooking. He goes, one more plate. I'm good. And then casually mentions, though, unless you all need me, I do have to get out tonight in like another half hour.
That's fine.
Sure.
Cool. Alicia's waiting. But yeah, Titus sets out. Hi, Alicia. But yeah, sets out plates, and then it's like, this sounds like proper mage business. Text me if I need to know anything important, and then
just before he goes, I'm going to throw a quick and dirty on him.
Oh, don't say it
Good
like
luck.
that when he's going to a date. But
He's going to throw a quick and dirty on Alicia.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
There it is. But yes, Gnosis plus Fate. Perfect. So he books it out with a little bit extra luck.
Little pep in his step.
Yep. And so, yeah, Hadramiel, kind of pulls up, sits, normal kind of, dinner that a, 22-year-old would make, grilled chicken and simple veggies and stuff like that. But
sure.
A pasta. Pasta's easy.
Yep. And so, yeah, Hadramiel looks to...
So, over on, one of my workshop benches or whatever, I'll, pull out a notebook where I've been writing down.
Which, in my head, I imagine there are a couple blood stains on some of those pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hadramiel...
And I'll kind of just, flop it down in the middle of the table. This is everything that my literal blood, sweat, and tears have gotten out of research.
Hadramiel kind of looks from you guys to the notebook and back and says, "I'm sorry, what?"
You want to explain that?
Yeah,
We have,
we're just definitely
as,
not smiling as he says that.
as Moonkeeper said, a local leech that we're friends with, apparently.
Okay.
And I made a bargain with him.
So he
I think-
knows nothing about the...
No.
Okay. And, like, immediately, like, relaxes a little bit.
Yeah.
Well...
Everything under the guise of needing to know more about what was going on to make sure that we were
aware.
prepared to defend our territory.
Right. Okay. What was Weird saying?
No, that's fine. I was just glaring at Hadramiel when he's asking that.
And like Hadramiel, when like is concerned, looking at Songbird.
Yeah. Weird. I think Songbird would definitely pick this up when Weird. It's like, Weird, you can relax. Like Hadramiel and I talked about this.
He doesn't know what you did,
No,
but you did it for him.
I did it for a number of reasons.
Banner Warden, Door Warden. But Hadramiel kind of picks up the notebook and starts flipping through and looking over, and to catch you guys up, and because he kind of reads stuff aloud.
Like notes and connections of some of the elites and the clan leaders. And
so to kind of break it down the short way, because as I pull this stuff up here in Conca, so it is there, so you guys can kind of refresh yourselves. But yeah, the major movers and shakers, you obviously have the Prince Lucian Williamson, who basically runs the Invictus. He has several barons that basically report to him and control sections of New York the way a mob boss might divvy up territories. Under him, he has Ashton Sweet, who is his actual child with an E, his vampire progeny,
Sure.
who's his kind of ruthless right hand enforcer. You have David Turner, who is a man in black mechette, reads people's thoughts and emotions and learns secrets. Evangelina Ross, who actually, especially because now I'm remembering that Factory exists, is like the anti-Factory. She's this corporate queen diva. She's Hispanic and she's old school Spanish. The one thing that like Tassos may mention is that like he's not 100% that she might not literally be like Spanish royalty or had been. And she acts it appropriately. And then Oscar Klimt, who is an actual mob boss, gangrel, and actually Weird, Oscar Klimt, not personally, but of his name within the local labyrinths. He is somebody that the labyrinth that Jimmy was in has had problems with Oscar Klimt's mob.
His mob front labyrinth.
Yeah. So that is a familiar name to Weird. Probably may not necessarily know a bunch about him, but you go, oh, I do know that name. And that's all the Invictus. And the one thing Tassos does mention is that obviously if the prince is killed, Ashton Sweet is, his obvious successor, but he's not 100% sure that the other barons would turn and put him down and fight themselves. But then you also have Father Victor, who is the bishop of New York. He runs the Church of Night, the spooky vampire cult that
religious,
and it is like this anti-Catholicism thing, and
I was hoping he was an actual bishop.
I'm into that.
He used to be, and still does stuff within the Catholic Church as a basically he works as a priest and overnight and stuff like that. And yeah, is a very creepy, like, tell me your sins confessor priest, and he's not a pleasant person. Actually, I think he would even go so far as Tassos would go so far as to tell you that, oh yeah, these guys are messed up because they guard the church from persecution, but will also turn around and tempt people in the church to cause them to sin and commit crimes, and then will kill them for doing so, and then usually embrace them. And don't forget, they will also push people like, oh, we're not really involved with the church. Oh, all of a sudden vampires are now haunting you. Oh, let's go back to the church. They're absolutely fucked up.
Manipulative jerks.
They're
Don't like that at all.
not a fan. And while the Lancia et Sanctum, the judges, so I don't keep having to mangle Latin, do not crave political power. They have plenty. They're tied to the Invictus, and Father Victor is very, very close with the Prince. How close exactly and what kind of relationship they have, Tassos doesn't know, but the two of them seem to move in lockstep, which is kind of standard for the judges and the Invictus. There's Shiko Ono, who is basically the leader of the Carthian movement, which is probably the biggest covenant, and it's full of young vampires who say, screw the rule of the old guys. They're revolutionaries and firebrands. And,
Eat the rich.
Are these your anarchs?
they're kind of anarchs. They're very, actually in Masquerade, they're very close to the anarchs. The difference is they have even, they're almost free council-ish in the fact that they want democratic rule rather than rule from a big hierarchy. And they get heavily involved in human stuff not because they believe in any particular thing, but because that's where you can find young, dumb, manipulatable teens and college students and stuff like that.
Find
And
your
the leader, Shiko Ono,
Bunch of bro vampires.
Yeah, and Shiko Ono is a 19-year-old, Asian sweet, deva, and so she's super manipulative and collects. She herself has a huge horde of human lackeys and ghouls, and Tassos was like, it's like not 100% sure that she doesn't have like 50 plus ghouls to herself. She is.
That's a lot of vitae.
She is prodigious with spreading that stuff around. And then less of a big issue politically, but a notable power themselves are the Circle of the Crone, crazy blood witches, probably Ashes type of people, but probably not anybody reals. They're like, let's go have crazy bacchanals and just go wild, and might makes right, and very pagan, kind of draws, blood sorcery and stuff like that. But there's definitely an issue with when they're in power, and Tassos is like, if things are thrown off, I don't know that the Circle of Crone will actually make a move to take political control, because that's not quite their thing. But they're going to go out and they're going to start settling some grudges, like old school biblically, and it will be messy.
Hell yeah.
That's
I
Skylar.
think I like them.
Skylar, who is the leader and the kind of mama matriarch of them, but the face of them is her child, Tara O'Hara, who's she is Irish, but I don't know how real her name is. But they're both Nosferatu, and while Skylar is not okay to be seen in public, she has this kind of drooping clay, ugly kind of classic Nosferatu face. Tara O'Hara can at least pass in public. Her big Nosferatu thing is the fact that her voice sounds like it's coming several feet from behind her. And so she's disturbing to talk with. Dope. And that's the thing that really throws people. But, especially this day and age with remote stuff and things on the internet, it's much easier for them to do their work. So yeah,
So
that's
bad audio quality. It happens.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's what several gallons of my blood earned us.
And reaches over, pats your shoulder, and says, "Fabulous research in a very short amount of time. I appreciate the sacrifice that went into doing this."
Don't wave any sort of sharp things around me, okay?
I'm fine with that. So, cursory glance. Well, I'm almost tempted to ask to meet with whoever you got this information from. But
That might not go well.
No,
No.
I don't really want to.
That would maybe raise suspicions.
also true.
I also don't want to, reveal him, I guess, to other people. That seems
Yeah.
like a betrayal of the sort of tenuous trust we've got going on.
Okay. Well, regardless, that means I just continue to use you all, I guess, as my agents. Right. So we have the big players, the Invictus, probably, but this Shiko Ono might also make a play in the Carthians. Well, knowing their names, or at least pseudonyms,
Yep.
I might be able to get a little bit more information and see who's involved where within the Cryptopolis, or causing problems within the Cryptopolis. I think I know Evangelina Ross. Not her by that name, but...
I've met Ashton before
Oh, okay.
in a previous life.
Really?
Okay.
I mean, he's a brute. He likes fighting sports.
Okay.
Did you get any information on how loyal the Invictus are? Like, if we take out their prince, are they going to be out for revenge? Or are they going to be up for a power grab? Because
That's
from
the
what we
thing.
have here, it seems like Ashton might want to go on the warpath.
That's the thing, is that Moonkeeper made it sound like whatever the plan is that it's going to make the vampires fight themselves. So how does an assassination...
An assassination that was clearly done by
causing that?
mages.
Sorry, you guys doubled up. What was... Songbird,
Yep.
did you say? Because I caught what you were going to say, but...
Basically, that's the same question.
Okay.
How does an assassination directly done by mages cause vampire infighting so assuredly, and not just vampire retribution?
Hadramiel says, to be blunt, I'm not involved with the divinations. I mean, I know he wasn't lying when he said that, the time to strike will cause the most infighting. But if there's, that could be a very minimal amount of infighting. Just that's the
Sure.
most, which is one of my concerns. I know. Okay. As I told Songbird, and I guess I'm extending my trust to you, all four of you. None of this leaves this sanctum. I know that the hierarch is very against the prince. The prince refuses to deal, refuses to meet. He insists that everything be done through his barons, and to make individual deals with territorial control, and basically is forcing mages to deal with underlings, which is
That's what he's pissed about.
well, and Hadramiel says,
Is he 12?
well, there's a little bit of it. You do have to understand, this has been an ongoing thing from before Sun and Winter's predecessor.
Given the
We have
way
been-
he's treated us, I can understand why the prince may not want to deal with him directly.
Right. And there's a thing to be said about Silver Ladder beliefs. Mages are, the leaders of humanity. And when we are trying to shepherd and guide them to a new future, and you have vampires disrupting, the upper echelons of society, where we are working hard to, and I know this is going to sound like grandstanding, but we are trying to make New York a better place for all humanity. And you have vampires who are feeding vices, who are focusing, and granting gifts of temporal power, and, feeding greeds and lusts. It becomes hard to, focus the sleeper society on, the things of higher power. And yes, it is irritating because things like preying on mages, that was, a discussion and an agreement made 80 years ago, before any of us were here, made with Prince Lucian by the previous hierarchs. But beyond that, we've had no opportunity to discuss. We've had no control, and they operate completely as they will. And kind of looks to Atratus, especially, and says, I understand that there are some good vampires. I understand there are some who are not rampaging monsters.
Sure.
They've
I think that's
Yeah.
the tipping point.
But, there may be others. And I know that there are some who cling and hold on to their humanity. I was introduced to one who still cares for his family, and they think he works a strenuous day job, and he comes home in the evenings to see them. But, is trying to live a normal life as a vampire. And I find that slightly endearing, if a little horrifying. But I'm not going to judge him for that. But these ones in power have forgone that.
Rich assholes.
Rich assholes. The circle of the crone kind of tapping, besides my personal beliefs about their sorcery and stuff like that, are literally all about occult knowledge and taking what they want and sacrificing others for it. The Order Dracul, which I know you...
tenuous ties at best.
Right. Actually, I think the thing he realizes is because that's the only one not mentioned on the list, because Tassos didn't really give you much information. He just said, oh yeah, we don't care about politics, and that was it. But, the Order Dracul, they're not interested in things politically, but they experiment with all sorts of, terrible experiments upon themselves, upon other vampires, and upon other members of the supernatural
Hadramiel,
Ocean 2 Songbird. Yes.
this isn't an attempt to minimize what these vampires represent, but the description you just gave for the hierarchy of the vampires, it doesn't take a lot of stretching for that definition to cover the Consilium.
Especially our Consilium. I agree. But,
Or like any humans.
and I agree. Except humans are not literally monsters sucking the blood out of innocence. And I understand.
I gotta agree with the man there.
Yeah, I understand. And like I said, there are some, and it is my hope, and it is one of the reasons why I have been on board with this so far, is all these divinations that point to minimal sleeper casualties. The only people killing themselves should be the vampires with political ties, the ones who are trying to just get by in their new unlife.
It's Moonkeeper doing all these divinations?
Moonkeeper, and there are some other Silver Ladder and Adamantine Arrow mages, because it wouldn't necessarily just be Acanthus, but yes.
So Moonkeeper's
And they're not
arrow-
lying, but
Yeah, there's ways to lie without lying.
where did you get 10 gallons of blood for that ritual? Health regen.
From inside my body.
Turned into an anime character for a while.
Or from Kill Bill.
Yeah, the human body is 40 gallons of highly pressurized blood beneath 2 centimeters of skin.
If you believe anime, that's not real. Please don't try that at home.
No.
Yeah, totally.
Craig, did you say you're casting a spell?
Yeah, after the meeting with Hadramiel, I just queued it up.
Okay, that's fine.
Hadramiel, I do have a different topic.
Okay.
We had a visitor yesterday.
Okay.
From our not so much friends upstairs.
Oh, Sears?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know how much you know about their organizations or anything, but
Enough.
do you know anyone by the name of Abaddon? Figured you'd appreciate the theme at least.
Yeah, the name and connotations that go with it makes me absolutely sickened, but
Right.
no actual mage by that shadow name. My knowledge of individual seers is fairly limited these days. There's a couple I struggle with, within New York, but none that go by that name.
Yes. Apparently there is a bound at our next research site.
Oh, with your grimoires.
Yes. Abyssal intrusions all around the area as well. And he said that our works and research should coincide enough to work together to keep the bound. Well, bound.
It seems plausible.
Yeah, that's kind of where it struck me too.
Also, he did tell us that the Panopticon is after our grimoire. So,
And
we
I
might have
guess-
to deal with that.
He would rather see it in our hands than theirs.
interesting. That's a rather direct statement for a seer.
Yeah.
He
was
was
very direct.
Yeah, fairly direct
I mean-
man. He's
And-
from the Ministry of War.
Praetorians.
Yeah.
Praetorians. Yes. Okay, that explains some things.
I mean, think Red Dread dialed to 14.
Right. Or
Higher.
well, he was going to say, or any arrow. But no, I mean that, yeah, the straightforwardness and direct conflict. And the one thing I would mention, if they are Praetorian, is, I mean, they enjoy inciting conflict and they use conflict and violence to oppress and control. And
Yep.
He may be setting you up intentionally for a conflict with the Panopticon then. If he knows
Yeah.
that
I mean,
they're
we've already
acting,
come into conflict with the Panopticon, so
but I mean a further one that, depletes membership. Either
Sure.
for yourselves or for them.
For them.
He won't bat an eye if
Well,
you all
A
lose
couple more
anything.
ticks on the board.
I mean, that would be the appreciation, but if he's not local, I would imagine he doesn't have something out for you specifically, unless, of course,
Right.
the locals have brought him in as some kind of hitman.
Right.
He seemed to indicate that he was on the outs Had some.
He had sent agents there supposedly, and lost all contact with them.
And failure is, generally speaking,
Not a good thing.
it's a capital punishment type crime.
Right.
So either fix it yourself or deal with the consequences.
So yeah, he was looking for help.
Tread carefully. I mean, when they are following the rules, they are, useful allies. But when the rules no longer apply to them, then they can be a problem.
Yeah, I did mention it to Oceans. She said we could put him under oath, but that doesn't apply to anyone else he might tell.
Have you spoken with Factory or any of the other Free Council? They're the ones who keep a very close eye on.
Yeah, she said that they might know him. So I haven't gotten around to calling them yet.
Okay. Yeah. I know Factory has a particular vendetta against at least the local seers. So
is there a different sort of friend we could ask for help?
What do you mean? Another Free Council member?
A supernal?
When it comes to asking supernal beings about seers, one tends to get a particular type of supernal being.
Right.
And
which is why I asked you if you had any
specific ones.
More specific ideas.
And he taps and pats his BlackBerry and goes, not off the top of my head, but I can look. There are some. Well, I guess if you're asking questions about a Praetorian, you find a supernal being that is tied to another exarch, who might be willing to give up some good gossip. You might try that. I'll look and see. I do not have. Whenever I summon a supernal being and get somebody who's tied to the exarchs, I tend to just
send them away.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Yes. Yeet, as the kids say.
Hey, the songbirds also say.
The songbirds also say very well. But yeah, and kind of looks over at Network and says, if you're talking about people who know things and know connections and know ties, and Network is like, I will.
We're still working on that.
Right, I will.
It's new.
If I need to be, but demons are kind of terrifying. I saw a good number of them, and I'm not in a big rush to see more. But if need be, I'm here for the Cabal. But yeah, I could do it, and I know it would be harder with all of us, but if we're all present,
I think I could counterbalance a lot of the penalties you'd have.
I'm down to try. But and Hadramiel kind of pulls his phone out, puts it back in his pocket, and I'll look to see if I have anything. Like I said, for the most part, I don't keep record of those. But and
I know it's a lot to ask, but it is your area of expertise. Right. So
you may also check the Athenaeum, because they have a pretty good library that they let me borrow on occasion, and I know they have not an extensive list. They more study cryptid type things, but they may have some knowledge of such things. And I know they have at least a few seer tomes that they've collected,
right?
Which, there is a legit, in the Athenaeum, there's a little trophy.
Do not touch.
What's a little trophy rack of we stole this shit, kind of thing. Yeah, there's definitely a little, do not touch on some of them, but you may check there. But whatever comes through, the trial is probably going to be very unpleasant for you, and they still may be maliciously compliant.
And will likely carry back information.
Also
I
that.
mean-
Yeah, I don't super want to summon an Exarch supernal being.
Me neither.
I mean, don't necessarily have a choice.
I mean, I can call the Free Council.
As far as it being...
Oh,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
I meant you don't have a choice of what it is
Yeah.
if you summon something.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to be there for that.
So yeah, and yeah, I would exhaust all other things before that. And to be honest, Lower Manhattan is your territory, and I know there are Chancellor Sears
Yeah.
in the area.
Oh, we know.
Neither Panopticon, neither Praetorian. So, and they love making a deal. So,
Oh boy.
yeah. So if again, you run the risk of them being friendly with Panopticon or Praetorian and giving up information, but nail down somebody who's looking to make a rise in society or something like that. That's a potential offer. As Hadramiel is like pushing food around his plate, clearly having lost his appetite.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
I mean, yeah, he's eaten most of it, and he could stand to lose some weight. But
He's got pudge.
he's a little bit pudgy. But wow. He kind of looks.
We've had some fucking conversations today, folks.
Yep.
It has been a while since I've been so involved in a cabal.
Do you not have one?
No. I'm a solitaire. Most of the counselors are. It's hard to be a counselor and maintain good relations with a proper cabal and be involved with things. The hierarch would love for the counselors to all join together in a cabal and make
I'm sure he would.
make some oaths about bettering the Consilium and bettering New York. But myself, Giza, and Factory are not into it.
Resistant.
They're and I have a problem with
Shit.
Hadramiel is pretty straightforward.
Nope.
I could see
There you go.
myself. You're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I would
Fucking
not
weird connection all night.
be opposed to taking the hierarch's seat. I don't know if it's the appropriate thing for me to do. It is not something I currently have designs for.
How does one even go about that?
Kind
Do
of
you vote?
election
No.
by the Consilium, though it's heavily.
I was picturing a dual arcane with development stakes.
I mean, it could be done that way, but no. Generally speaking, the Consilium, is going to kind of put in power whoever
Sure.
they see appropriate, and it tends to fall along party lines. Free Council, has their own convocation, but yeah.
Yeah, because we did just get here, but I don't like him very much. I would vote for someone else.
Yeah, problem is hierarchs tend to be kind of, president for life kind of situations, unless there's a reason for one to be deposed. And
Starting a fucking hot war with the vampires for no reason.
potentially, yes. But that's if it all ends in disaster, and after that, you have to bring evidence against him and, oust him, and that's less likely to be bloody like a vampire war. Many a Consilium have, shattered in situations like that. So it's one of those things of, better the devil that you know than the one you don't. But, right.
Politics.
Politics. When I joined the Silver Ladder, I didn't quite think I was going to be as involved in that. I was just looking to raise up humanity, raise up the sleepers, and establish a.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but yeah, I got off track somewhere. Regardless, well, thank you for dinner. Thank you for inviting me to your table. Tell Titus that I appreciated it and that I hope his date went well.
Well, yeah, we'll see if he survives.
She survives.
Werewolf.
Oh,
She's a werewolf.
she's
yeah.
a werewolf.
That is an adventurous boy.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And we're gonna pour some wine and ask for exquisite details.
Explicit. All right. Well, I want to apologize for putting this all on you. When your cabal was founded, you were supposed to go off and find grimoires and bring back knowledge, and
I mean, we have done that.
you have, but at least originally it was designed that you would do that, bring things back, and not have to be involved in politics. There's a reason there's no Silver Ladder member. You were supposed to just be a resource for the hierarch and the council, and I was okay with that, and I thought that it would be useful, and perhaps putting you in Lower Manhattan was probably not, but we thought part of the Athenaeum, and yeah, so it's
I mean, I live here.
true.
I mean, I don't mind being here. We've got to meet a lot of interesting people.
Sure, and unpeople, but
Some of which are actually people.
yeah. But yeah, I just didn't think of the fact that being in Lower Manhattan would put you in such a tumultuous place.
Don't like being next door to the Sears. But
Well,
Yeah.
my concern vis-a-vis politics and danger is not so much, I mean, I'm a fucking arrow. I don't give a shit about Sears. I will fight them.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how much more I can disagree with the status quo and not face repercussions from within my order.
And that may be a thing that you have to consider, how much you toe the line, or join me, not literally, but as being a, party line face and working behind your hierarch's back in secret. And I know I'm not the only, and I know I'm not the first, but, I know Red Dread has a pretty strong claim over the adamantine arrow, and perhaps you kind of expand that a little bit, or rather find others who might not necessarily agree with his workings, and if nothing else, and kind of motions at network and says recruiting, and bringing in new voices.
Sure.
But again, my apologies, my appreciation for the meal, and I will see myself out. And after you all left, I made it clear that I wanted Songbird to be part of the force meeting with the prince. There was some complaints, but I pointed out that if nothing else, that the Rookery needs a representative there so that they're aware of the exact situation as it goes
At
down.
least we're not getting attacked for no reason, right?
yeah.
So true. As far as I know, it's looking like it's going to be all adamantine arrow right now. Yourself,
Okay.
Pip, Red Dread, and potentially Moonkeeper. I know Red Dread wanted to do the deed himself, because it's in his territory. So, so the hierarch is breaking that news to Red Dread tonight. So I don't know. Does he text? You might get a text. Might be in the morning.
It's usually more of a call.
So, yeah, and kind of stands up and
Oh God, is he gonna make me go shoot guns again?
stands up and kind of excuses himself and makes his way out. Craig, as our last little, hey, one more real quick thing. You had a spell that you said you had queued
Yep.
up.
I want to scry 9
Jesus.
successes.
Sure.
So what are you scrying on?
You have got to learn to share.
I'm scrying on my Lunargent Rose.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you probably should have bumped the potency up a little bit, but that's fine.
I can use the mirror and another yantra to.
I mean, he got 9 successes.
really
I think we're good.
Yeah. Lunagent Rose is sitting in a little vase in a apartment.
Anyone around it?
At this time of night? Well, yeah, actually, probably, yeah. Steven and Wallace are, hanging out on a couch.
Okay. I'm gonna.
How close on the couch?
It's Chris's face.
Like, beside, but not touching.
All right. I'm going to grab the rose with a colocate.
Stealing it.
It's mine. I put it there anyway.
Yeah, that's fine.
4 successes.
Colocate. So
Make sure
reflexive.
And I make sure I tip over the vase
vase.
so they see it leaving.
Okay. Now,
Act of hubris,
Yeah.
bro.
roll,
'Cause these are not sleepwalkers.
they're not sleepwalkers. Let's see here. I believe it's going to be.
Perry says it's Valentine's. Damn it! Give us some shipping.
I mean, the fact that they're
I
sitting
ship it.
close to each.
I ship it.
I will go ahead and say this: they are sharing a blanket
Oh,
across the lap. Yep. I will give you that much. Go away. Yeah. So that's going to be 3 dice. Active hubris. Do your virtues, vices, or obsessions fall in on this?
No.
Okay. So yeah. Roll
Well-
3 dice.
Maybe an obsession. Hang on, let me check it.
that's not a good thing.
No, well, yeah, no, I don't think so. All right, so
3d10.
3d10.
Mm-hmm. There's that 8. So take a beat for prompting a active hubris.
Sure.
Yeah, you succeed and do not lose wisdom.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. It's an arcane beat. I apologize.
Okay.
And then we roll breaking points. Because that was flat out magical.
Are successes good or bad?
Good.
Oh,
Okay.
so close, Steven.
Oh, wow, to an exceptional. Yeah.
Ugh.
And then
Could have been it.
Oh.
No successes. What did you do to Christopher?
Now, for the most part, it's not going to be like he's going to go mad or anything like that. He's just going to have a real bad day. I'm going to dig this up real quick. We're gonna run a little bit long tonight, just for a couple minutes here. Tabletop. Where's my tabletop stuff? There it is. Breaking points. Wait, nope. Hang on. Got to find the right place with the right breaking points. Uh-oh. File is damaged and being... Okay, there it goes. Oh, no, not the God Machine Chronicle. I need the rules update.
And-
Sorry, guys.
And not that I'm trying to mitigate this all. My intention was just to draw their attention to the fact that it was gone, not that they see it leave or anything like that.
Oh, sure. But
Yeah.
it was there.
But
Yeah,
and
it
there's
was there,
no-
and now it's not.
Yeah.
And the vase is tipped over.
Virtues, vice...
It's not like I waved it around in front of them before it winked out or anything.
It's still a
Bippity
disappearing
boppity, back
rose.
the fuck
Yeah.
up.
They still watched their thing disappear.
To be fair, Steven was 1 dice away from
Trying to,
Awakening.
maybe
trying to
happening.
provoke it.
Potentially, yes. Let's see here. Experience. Oh my gosh, where's the... They have all sorts of examples about it. Breaking point. Integrity, there we go. Breaking point.
Just want to tell Weird what she's done.
What's that?
Yep. Determining a breaking point when they roll.
Just got to tell you what you've done before we leave for the night.
Yep. Let's see here. System, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, witnessing a supernatural occurrence. Oh, I should have reduced their die pools just a little bit, but that's fine. Okay, success. Comes through the breaking point intact, might feel guilty or upset about what happened, but they can cope. They're either guilty, shaken, or spooked. Okay, so yeah, you've kind of nudged them into gaining some additional XP from having the spooked condition.
Okay.
Oh, wait, excuse me. That's what happens to Steven.
When you succeed.
Wallace, shaken, possibly questions sense of self, ability to relate to people, or his sanity. Lose a dot of integrity. And choose one of the following conditions. Guilty, shaken, or spooked. So, yes, Wallace has lost a little bit of integrity as his, as he's confronted by that.
Whoops.
Whoops.
It's all right.
Hey, it's not like he did it to a crowd of like 80 people.
Mhm.
There are probably a lot of breaking points that night.
There probably was.
Yeah, but then you erased it, right?
No, he
Because
just
breaking points.
No,
Yeah.
no,
he
that's
just
not
like
how that
quiescence
works.
take it over.
Yeah.
Sweep
And
it
just
under
in
the
case
rug.
you're wondering, 3 experience to recover 1 integrity. So, but
Harry, God damn it. Pretty sure they're questioning more than their sanity.
yes, 100%. So yes,
God.
with that, happy Valentine's Day. As Stephen and Wallace sit on the couch sharing a blanket, watching some Netflix and whatever other stuff, and Titus and Alicia are off on a date. They're getting steak. If you had to ask why, you're not paying attention. But yes, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you if you're watching live on Twitch. Thank you for spending your Friday nights with us. I appreciate it. And YouTube guys, hey, thanks for watching whenever you're watching. I hope if you're watching during work that we've alleviated some of the doldrum of work. Hopefully you were not too distracted. But as always, you can join us on Patreon, support us monetarily, follow our kind of odd little stuff there. I have some ideas of what I might be doing. We might be working with, I might be working with patrons to come up with Network's character sheet. I'm going to try and figure out a way to do that. I'm going to see if there's a poll system where I can ask some questions.
Live stream?
I think I might just do it on polls. That way people don't have to
That's
show
fair.
up at a certain time.
That's fair.
But yeah, so we might be doing that with a bunch of polls, and you can just kind of visit, and that's how we're going to create his character sheet. I think that would be kind of fun and asynchronous. Then, of course, you can join us on Discord to chat about what you just saw, whether live or on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Hi, podcast guys. And that is eatinto.space. If you just want to throw that into your URL, there's links below in every place you watch this, except I guess Twitch. And then, Hunter the Vigil, go check it out. I gushed about it last episode. You already heard this, hopefully. There's no new information between this episode and the last one. Until next time, folks.
Stay lucky.